This might be my favorite SMG possibly ever. I just made a video about how much I love the Beretta PM-12, and then I meet this homewrecker hussy of an SMG, the PM-98. Damn, guys, I think this is the best SMG I've ever shot. And there's a good chance most of you don't even know what it is because no one's talking about it. There are 0 full-length videos about it on YouTube. When I did a search for this gun, it was like visiting my nephews. All I saw were shorts with poop in them. I'd never seen this gun before I went to Poland when I was visiting WBP, the AK manufacturer, a few weeks ago. They have a very close relationship with FB Radom. While I was there, my buddy Jack Popinski, no, he's not Soda Popinski's long-lost cousin, well, maybe he could be, brought out an incredible collection of firearms. One of those was this little fella, the FB Radom PM-98, also known as the Glauberyt. For some reason, the most badass nickname ever given to a gun. Jack had 2 of these, one in 9mm and one in 9x18 Makarov, that is, hand to God, serial number 2. And he let me shoot it all I wanted. The PM-98 is brilliant. They didn't reinvent the wheel. It looks like they took the Uzi, kept everything good about it, got rid of everything bad about it, and polished the whole package together. To understand the PM-98, you have to start with its papa, the PM-63 Rak. This wild little Polish machine pistol was adopted in the 60s. It's compact. You can fire it from the hip or one-handed, and it has this weird little folding foregrip. I'm going to do a full video on the Rak later, but there's a lot more out there on the Rak. Now, the Rak is no doubt a cool gun, but it was a little too quirky. The Polish military realized they needed something more properly an SMG rather than kind of a tiny glorified machine pistol. In the 1970s, they launched a design competition with several prototypes submitted. The winner came from FB Radom. By 1984, Poland officially adopted the PM-84 Glauberyt in 9x18 Mac. The PM-84 is like the PM-98's older brother. They're both very similar and they're both very Uzi-like. Magazine in the grip, compact design, but with some Polish twists like ambi charging handles, folding foregrip, closed bolt operation, and most impressively, a last round bolt hold open, which was very unusual for an SMG of the era. Even the vaunted HK MP5 doesn't have a last round bolt hold open. The PM-84 was adopted at the worst possible time, though. The Polish economy was collapsing at the end of the Cold War. Production didn't begin in earnest until 1990. By then, the Soviet bloc had fallen apart, and Poland realized that Commie 9mm had to give way to NATO 9mm. Accordingly, the PM-84P, the 9mm Parabellum variant, went into service in the 1990s. Unfortunately, it was a little rough around the edges. The wire stock wasn't great, the gun was hard to use with gloves, and the heel mag release kinda sucked. The PM-84 wasn't a bad design for the first try, but they nailed it with their next effort. In the late 90s, the PM-98 was introduced. It wasn't a caliber change, it was a pretty significant redesign. Stronger stock, rubber butt plate, a large left side charging handle that could be operated with either hand, a proper thumb mag release, oversized trigger guard for gloves, perhaps the biggest advance, this incredible plastic foregrip, which is not only ergonomic, but it can house a light or laser module. This gun was a smash hit. And as with any 90s blockbuster jam, you need some good remixes, so FB Radom slapped the PM-98 right in its little elbow vein and injected it with lead and trend to make the PM-98S. A simple modification, deletion of the rate reducer in the gun, increased the cyclical rate from about 640 rounds per minute to almost 770. They continued to modernize the design with a PM-06, which added a proper Picatinny top rail for optics, a sturdier 3-position telescoping stock, and an ambi safety and selector. And then you've got the BRS-99 variant, a semi-auto version for the civilian market. I swear to John Browning, if we can't get these things over here at some point in the future, I'm moving to Warsaw. Speaking of Browning, shooting this gun is a religious experience, and I submit to you that it's even better than the gold standard of fist-to-fist reloading SMGs, the Uzi. They both use a telescoping bolt design, which means that the gun can be smaller with a longer bolt runway and a longer barrel. Because they feed from the grip instead of from the front of the receiver, like for example the MP5, they're much more compact and easy to stuff into crevices in a vehicle. The Uzi's charging handle is on top of the receiver. That makes optic mounting difficult. It's a little awkward to use and it's easy to snag on shit. The PM-98 has an enlarged, contoured side handle on the left-hand side of the receiver that's much easier to use right or left-handed or with gloves, and it allows for an optic-ready top cover. I've got no real complaints with the Uzi's folding metal stock, but deploying it is slightly more complicated. It's a little bulkier than the PM-98's twin rod collapsing stock that slides neatly alongside the receiver and features a rubber padded butt plate. Controls are far superior to the Uzi. You've got a traditional button-style mag release, last round bolt hold open, bolt release, a more ergonomic and in some cases ambidextrous selector switch. It's also closed bolt versus the Uzi's open bolt, making it safer and more accurate. The owner's manual even describes the quality control process for accuracy. FB Radom takes each of these guns. They fire 4 shots at 50 meters from a rest with the iron sights. All rounds have to fall into an 8-centimeter circle. Now that's only about 6 MOA, but this is a test of practical accuracy from a rest, not mechanical accuracy from a vise. The real magic with the PM-98 is something only true SMG connoisseurs can fully appreciate. The Uzi runs at about 600 rounds per minute naturally thanks to its heavy bolt and its long bolt travel, making it very controllable. The natural organic cyclical rate of the PM-98 with its lighter bolt is closer to 800 rounds per minute, but there's an inertial rate reducer buried in the pistol grip that slows the bolt down to 640 rounds per minute. That's the difference. The Uzi's control comes from its mass. The PM-98 cyclical rate comes from engineering. Let's talk about the specs, straight from the translated manual. This gun weighs about 5.3 pounds, measures just under 16 inches collapsed, just under 24 inches deployed, incredibly compact. The barrel, depending on the configuration, is either 7.3 or 9.8 inches, and the manual says effective range is 150 meters or 165 yards. I was shooting it with iron sights at nearly 100 meters, relatively rapid fire, and making regular hits on torso-sized silhouettes. I believe it. But talk is cheap, and shooting an SMG is expensive. So what's it like with this one? In one word, incredible. The cyclical rate feels almost indistinguishable from the Uzi, but with less reciprocating mass. The gun just operates with a better harmony. When you're riding the lightning in this son of a bitch, at least you get a saddle because you can really rein this gun in even with a full mag dump. It's so controllable that the manual actually says it's perfectly safe and indeed intended to be fired one-handed as the situation might dictate. It's not just lighter than a regular Uzi, it's even about a quarter kilo lighter than a mini Uzi. And I'd say it's even more controllable than both. Of course, 9mm Makarov is a pussycat, no recoil whatsoever. 9mm Luger is only slightly spicier, but it's still one of the most controllable 9mm SMGs I've ever had the pleasure of putting my hands on. It's almost like the engineers at FB Radom got together and said, hey man, let's make this work like the Uzi, but lighter and better in pretty much every way. All the manipulations are faster thanks to the modern control layout and the last round bolt hold open with the oversized bolt release lever. That makes reloads fast and slick. The stock, despite being a simple twin rod wire design, surprisingly comfy. The rubber butt plate is a nice touch. It doesn't wobble, it's sturdy, and it runs. Maybe this is why, in spite of the relatively low production numbers of around 50,000 guns, a surprising number of military and paramilitary organizations have adopted it. The Polish military, of course, border guards, national police, they have tens of thousands of them. Iraq actually bought 6,000 for their police and military units. The Indonesian police formally adopted them, as did the Philippine police. Even the Lithuanian army got their hands on some PM-84s. It's a shame that a gun so close to perfect, with great ergo, smooth shooting characteristics, clever engineering, is this obscure. No YouTube videos, no TikTok dances, not even a cameo in Austin Powers. And unfortunately, it may never reach much further than this video. Because of this platform's anti-gun policies, it's harder and harder to get reach with videos about extraordinary firearms like this one. If I'd only stumbled on this gun 5 years ago, maybe we'd have a shot at some of those sweet-ass BRS 99s coming stateside. Speaking of sweet ass, get yours over to subscribestar.com/TFBTV. I was not paid by FB Radom or by WBP to make these videos, to film content with them. I rely on you guys for support. We need you to keep making this content, especially considering YouTube is just crushing our views and deleting our videos. It's now more important than ever. But we give you more than just awesome videos for supporting us. We give away around $2,000 worth of gear and gift certificates every month, thanks to our sponsors at Top Gun Supply, who generously provide $1,500 worth of gift certs every month, as well as Ventura Munitions, who keep us locked and loaded on this channel. But thank you most of all for your support and for your viewership. Take care.